Hey everybody, just out here wanted to give you all a 1 year review as a first time EV owner and kind of tell you how my journey's been. Obviously I have a Model Y Performance 2023 model. Now originally I came from a Acura MDX. I had the advanced trim. Of course that's a third passenger row in the back there, had plenty of room. Pretty decent horsepower. I think they had like 300 horsepower. It wasn't a bad vehicle. It's a great vehicle. I enjoyed it. And just got really tired of having to sit in these long box chain gas station lines. And so literally I just threw enough, I'm like, I had enough. And decided to go ahead and investigate, the electric vehicle market. Now, the other vehicle that I was seriously considering was the Mustang Mach-E. Getting the premium edition. I wasn't really too interested in the GT, mainly for range. But then I ended up test driving a Model Y Performance, and I really enjoyed the vehicle. That quick, fast acceleration that most EVs have, obviously. So decided to go with the Model Y Performance. Now, my 1 year of ownership, I've put 14,000 miles on it. And some people I know have put a lot more than that. So mostly doing road trips and driving a lot, actually, because I enjoy driving the vehicle. And had no real big issues, as far as like quality build and that sort of thing. I got lucky. I have had no issues. Only minor thing is you probably can't see, but obviously actually over here there's a dent right over here. Came from the factory because there's no scratches to it. It literally just came like that. But anyways, as far as like my experience with the vehicle, it's been great. Like I said, no major issues whatsoever. And then this vehicle has a whole cornucopia of accessories that you're going to go and spend a lot of money on. I have a bunch of things, but to be honest with you, like besides the main storage compartment stuff that everybody recommends and obviously you should get just to organize things in the cabin. For me, the two major ones that I've purchased or I've added onto the vehicle, one is the powered frunk. I absolutely love that. I use it all the time. And prior to having it installed, I would use the frunk all the time just to put stuff in. I've had mulch in there. I've had obviously fast takeout food put in there to avoid getting the cabin smelly. And just anything and everything. Now with the powered frunk, obviously that makes it even a lot better. It's much more accessible. It's easier to open in and out, get stuff, in and out real quick, and it's been great. The other thing that I've invested money in is actually the enhanced auto, the sexy buttons. And to be honest with you, that has been great. That company is almost like Tesla, where it literally updates and pushes updates and new features to the Commander, as they call it. And it actually works really well. The only caveat to that is that if you're going to purchase that, make sure you get the installation for the front passenger kick panel. You don't want to do the easy one, which I unfortunately did, and I wasn't told. It's not on the website anywhere. It doesn't tell you, hey, if you do the rear installation, you're not going to get all the features that this unit supports. So you literally have to make sure you buy the one that you do in the front passenger kick panel. It's not a difficult installation. It's pretty easy. I'm not a handy person whatsoever, and I was able to do it. Now, back in the days, I used to run, stereo installations. I used to do that on my own vehicles and that sort of thing. So, you don't really need that, to be honest with you. They have excellent how-to-do videos on their site. Now, I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that, but I do attest that product is really great. Besides just having all the sexy button features, where you can program each button to do different things and that sort of thing. But my biggest thing that I enjoy is that the companion app now has full-time blind spot monitoring, which I find to be absolutely a game changer for me. My old vehicle used to have that continuous blind spot monitoring. This doesn't have that, obviously, and you're not going to be looking at the screen when you put on the turn signal to see, oh, is there a vehicle there? You're going to use your mirrors and that sort of thing. But having this on, actually, if you can continue going straight, you put on the turn signal, you can see, whether it's yellow or red if there's a vehicle behind you, right there next to you while you're trying to make that turn. So it's great. I really enjoy it. And, like I said, I highly recommend those accessories. Other than that, I've had a bunch of other things that I've done to it. Got the protectors on the wheels and that sort of thing, and a bunch of other things that I'm not going to really get into. The ownership like experience, like I said, I've been, thoroughly enjoyed it. And the big thing for me is the supercharging network. That for me was the game changer and why I went with Tesla versus Ford. Now, obviously, a year later, things have all changed. Everybody's going to go to NACS now. But the supercharging network is the biggest game changer out there. I mean, that's really what makes having a Tesla so enjoyable when you road trip, because it literally, I've never gotten to a plug or a charging station and had an issue. Only twice. Once, the unit that I was plugging into was out, and I didn't realize that. Wasn't paying attention to the monitor and it informing me, hey, that one's out. And then the other time was a bent pin. And so those have only been the 2 times that I ever had an issue with the supercharging network. So let's talk a little bit about the driving experience. It's for some people, it's really a game changer, or it's completely different than driving a traditional ICE vehicle, and that can be said for any EV itself. For me, actually, I used to somewhat one pedal drive my old vehicles, where literally I would coast a lot. Coming down a hill, for example, I'd always let go of the gas and let it coast in as much as possible, and then put the accelerator on if I needed to. Same thing with this vehicle and other EVs that use regenerative braking. And literally, you just let go of the accelerator and the car slows down and stops on its own. And so the beauty of that is that you less wear and tear on the brake pads, so you don't replace them as often. And then also it keeps your wheels a little cleaner because there's less brake dust and that sort of thing. So that's a big advantage. And you regen, and so you get a little bit of energy back. I've gone on road trips where I've gone up a big mountain and then coming back down, I'm in the positive. I'm gaining energy back into the battery. Not a whole lot, obviously. You get maybe about 1%, 2%, 3% max is what I've noticed in some of my drives. Others may have gotten more, depending on how high you go up. And just we're talking with that in general. The other issue is, the range. Obviously that's everybody's big thing. And like I mentioned earlier, the supercharging network reassures you that you're going to get to your location with enough battery to last you, And like I said, I've never ran into an issue charging. Now, I have gone to this one location that I frequent a lot, and unfortunately the supercharger itself is offline until next year. The location is a gas station, and it's being renovated. So literally it's off limits, it's closed. And so in that particular case, I was like, you know what? I don't need that CCS adapter, that big old plug. But guess what? Let me go ahead and get it just as a backup. And I got lucky because it actually was on sale on the Tesla website, and ended up purchasing it for a pretty decent deal. So I would recommend, even though it's rare, I'd recommend you buy that, so then you can actually supercharge at some of the other EV charging stations, like EVgo and those sort of places. And unfortunately, those are hit or miss, and mostly miss. And I hope that infrastructure network gets up to the same level as Tesla's, because that's a benefit for everyone. If the supercharger in my case, wasn't available, then I could go charge somewhere else. But the experience has always been negative. You go online and you see all the reviews, you see everybody talking about it, how much of a pain it is to charge at non-Tesla charging stations. So that's biggest thing with the competition. So hopefully that infrastructure gets up to par, and that will benefit everyone. As far as anything else goes for driving and that sort of thing, it's just like any other vehicle. The only difference is just battery. And then you charge up at a charging station. You don't have to worry about putting in gas and that sort of thing. And of course, the maintenance on this is way low. The only big issues is obviously, depending on how fast you drive, is the wheels. The tires themselves, they wear out quick. I actually have a neighbor of mine, her boyfriend bought a Model 3 Performance, and he ended up getting it, unfortunately, just with summer tires. I think that's all they offered at that time. And he bought it last year as well. And his tires are worn. I mean, he showed me the other day, and I was like, holy cow, they're gone. Mine are still in decent shape. And he has about I think a little less than me as far as the mileage goes. I can't recall what he had told me it was, but yeah, they're really worn out. So now he's going to have to drop, 12, 13, 14, $1,500, depending on what type of tires he ends up getting. I know he's going to go with all season. So, that's the biggest expense when it comes to these electric vehicles. Is really the tires, because they do wear out more. These cars weigh a lot more, and so that puts a lot of added pressure to the tire itself and the tread life. And then also, if you accelerate, if you gun it all the time, well, that's fun. Believe me, it's a lot of fun. It never gets old. But you got to think about long term, the battery, and your range, that takes a hit, when you do those sort of things. And then the tires themselves obviously get worn quicker. So that's the other thing to really worry about, or really, pay attention to. And that's really it. Besides putting in, window washer fluid, that's about as much maintenance you really need to worry about when it comes to these electric vehicles. I mean, they're great all around when it comes to that, because you don't have to worry about taking it in for an oil change. I know now oil changes nowadays, they last pretty much almost a year, it seems, or you only have to go twice. And actually, I ended up taking another vehicle that I have into the dealer, and last time I'm doing it, and literally it was over $100. I think it was $120, $130 for an oil change. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. And I know it's going to last me probably the entire year, but seriously, 130 something. I remember back in the day, it was like $30 or something like that at Jiffy Lube, which I think I'm going to have to start taking it there, instead of the dealer. I'm paying dealer markup prices, obviously. So that's just something else to keep in mind, that you are going to see those savings long term, not right away, because these vehicles, when I purchased mine, actually was a lot more expensive than it is now. Nowadays, Tesla and these other manufacturers are having great incentives for you to get into one of these, especially, with rebates, leasing programs. And so actually right now is a great time, to, do a test drive and go check it out and see if you enjoy it. And if so, get in on it. And believe me, you won't regret it. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about is just overall, is it worth it? Is accumulation of, going from ice, this and that, and then the road trip, anxiety range, and that sort of things. It is, I'm never going back to an ICE vehicle, because this thing, and any electric vehicle, you're going to see that difference. You're going to, have that quick acceleration when you need it, and you're going to have less maintenance, less wear and tear for the most part on the vehicle. And these things, the batteries have been tested out, now you're seeing all these reports coming out from the first gen models and that sort of thing, and even older models, or newer models, I should say. And, the reports are all saying, hey, these batteries can last for years, 20 plus years, if not more. And again, sometimes there are some, bad batteries that are manufactured. They go bad. I'm not saying everything is going to be 100% perfect, but for the most part, the data seems to show that, yes, you can expect to own this vehicle for a very long time. Long-term wise, I've kept my other vehicle. It was a 2011, and I got rid of it, last year. So that was, 2023. Do the math there. So, I keep my vehicles for a long time. I plan on keeping this for a long time as well, especially after all the accessories I've purchased on it. I mean, I really like the vehicle. I'm not going to trade it in or anything like that. If anything, I'm going to, trade in my other vehicle. Now, the other benefits that I like about the Tesla lineup, and also the technology itself, is the fact that on your phone with the app, you can do so many things, and they keep continuing to add features, and that's what makes these vehicles great. Now all manufacturers obviously update them as regularly as Tesla. Tesla has set the bar very high, and they continue to hold it at that level because they offer these updates every single year, twice, three times, major ones, twice a year, if not three. And additional added features are put in with regular updates. On the app itself, you can view all your cameras pretty much. You can control, the interior temperature and that sort of thing. And I've noticed, now, investigating other vehicles and that sort of thing, that they're way behind. They are absolutely way behind what Tesla already has in place, in their app. these vehicles are just, manufacturers are just finally getting around to putting that in. I was on the Mach-E forums, and somebody was, hey, look at this. I can set my temperature in my Mustang Mach-E or my F-150. You know, and those are things I take for granted now. I get those all the time, and I already have that feature in place. But these people are excited to finally get to that level. But it's baby steps when it comes to these other manufacturers. They're way behind when it comes to that. And I get that because they just started investing into the electric vehicle market itself. So it makes sense. But I wish they would try to catch up a little quicker, so then there's really more competition for those added bonus features that I think are critical and crucial, and frankly, are required, to really, take advantage of the fact that these things you can communicate with the vehicle just with the app and that sort of thing. So, all ways to go for other manufacturers. I know Rivian has finally, you can view the your cameras from the app. That's finally coming out. And along with some other standard features that already, Tesla already has within their app. So they're finally coming out with that. Ford apparently is on the way as well. It's, like I said, it's baby steps when it comes to these other manufacturers, but hoping that they can start walking instead of crawling. So that's the end goal, because again, competition is great, because it motivates and it pushes everybody to do better and provide additional features for the consumer. So yeah, I mean, my 1 year ownership, I can't complain. I've been fortunate, like I said, that I have had no major issues. And would I recommend AV to anybody? Of course. I'd take them, more than be happy to take them for a test drive, a spin around the block, or you can do that yourself with like Tesla, for example. That's not an issue. And the beauty with Tesla is that you literally just go and you don't have to worry about having the salesperson next to you. You schedule the appointment, you go out there and you test drive it yourself. Now, other manufacturers, I believe you have to go with that salesperson. So I would recommend you check out like EV events in your area. There are plenty of those. I actually attended one. I'm going to attend another one just to try other vehicles. Sometimes the manufacturers are out there. You can then test drive it and not really have that sales mentality. It's more of an open area where, hey, we just want you to try it out. You don't need to, fill out a paperwork with all your information and that sort of thing. So I'd highly recommend you check out EV events around your area so that you can go ahead and test drive all these other vehicles and pick one for yourself that fits your needs and that you feel comfortable with. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to y'all soon.